Okay, so welcome back. We're now doing part 6 of the student admin app that we've been working on. Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to add a test data button so that it'll create some students and some courses and even some course enrollments. So it'll speed up our testing. We don't have to keep entering data all the time before we get to the part we want to do some testing on. Okay, so this is going to speed up our testing enormously. If we go display students, there's no students there. If we go display courses, there's no courses there. But if I click the test data button, it's going to add a bunch of courses and students. And now when I display students, there's 3 students there. And when I display courses, I've got 3 courses as well. And if I just display enrollments button, we'd find out we've got some enrollments as well. Okay, so it just means we can speed up our development and testing by just having some test data automatically created for us. And that's what we're doing in this video. So stay tuned. Hope you like it. If you like it, please consider clicking thumbs up. I hear they don't cost you very much. And it will let me know that people out there care about what I'm doing. A little bit of feedback, a little bit of kindness coming back for the hours and hours of work these videos are taking. Okay, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Okay, so we could add the test data via a button. We could add a button to the main user interface, for example, a main menu, and we could take that button out or hide it when we go live in production. Okay, so we could add it onto here. You know, a little add test data button or an add test data button, sneak it up in the corner there and then just hide it or delete it. Or else we could make it so that our application automatically loads test data or creates test data when it runs. Okay, and in the future we're going to be loading all the data from files. So we're going to be saving it to file when we run. When we run, and then the next time we run the app, we'll reload the data from files so that it's back where it left off. Okay, and this is part 6, so let's make it part 6. And so we could add a little add test data button if you liked, or in fact, let's do that. Why don't we do that? Okay, and so button and add. We'll just make it test data, and I'm just going to hide it there on the right hand side, so it's away from these other buttons. So I don't actually. I remember to delete it later on or hide it later on. Okay, so we'll expose the code section for that, and I'll call it add test data button, and we'll have a handler. Okay, so we're going to add test data button and add test data handler, and we'll save that. Control S to save. Make sure it's still in place. Yep. Back to NetBeans. And we want to recreate our controller, make controller to bring out those new buttons that we just created, the new button. Okay, so there's our add test data button, and the handler should be down the bottom. There it is. Okay, so if we wanted to make the test data, create the test data automatically when we load our app, we could do it up here in the initialize section. Okay, so we could place this same code I'm going to show you now into the initialize section, and it would automatically create test data when we run our application. Or else we're going to do it in a button. Okay, so in a button, we can do it just the same. So what we want to do is create some students and create some courses. And if we wanted to as well, we could create some course enrollments, but we won't worry about that for now because they're quite easy to create. Okay, so we'll just create some students and some courses. Okay, now the array list we want to add the students to is in the add controller. So it's this array list here. Oh, that's our courses, sorry, in the add controller for the students. So it's that array list there. So go back to our main menu controller. Okay, and so that's the array list we want to do, we want to create, but we need to fully qualify it because it lives in the add controller. So we need the student add controller dot. It's a static field or static array list in that. Okay, so the class name dot object name or field name, and it's a static field so we can access it that way. And for array list it's dot add, and now we can just add a student. For example, new student, and the student constructor. Let's just refresh our memory. That requires a name, a phone number, and an email. Okay, so back to the main menu controller. So we need a name, Moose, a phone number, and an email. .au. Okay, that's created one student. Let's create another, and we'll create Frankie, and he's 998877, and his email address is Frankie. And he's got a Hotmail email address, Hotmail. Yep, people are still using Hotmail. Don't you worry about that. Hotmail.com. And Bella's got she's got a more modern email. She's going to use Gmail. And it's Bella at Gmail. Okay, so we've created 3 students there. Scroll across. So I've created Moose and Frankie and Bella. We've created the student with the new student command, and we've added them to the array list with ArrayLists.add, and we've told Java where to find the array list by placing the class name there, the controller name in this case. Okay, so let's create some courses now. And the courses live in the add controller. So for the course add controller, there's the array list there that we want to populate. So the courses array list, back to our main menu controller, and it's course ArrayList.add, new course, followed by the parameters we need to provide for the course, followed by a semicolon, and we need to tell Java where to find that array list, and that lives in the courses add controller, that one there. So it's courses add controller dot. Okay. Let me just make sure it's available for us. Static, yep. Courses. Oh, sorry, it's not display all, it's add. It's the add controller. Yep. Display all, yeah. It lives in the add controller, this one here. Okay, so a course needs, let's just refresh our memory. A course needs a course code and a name to be created. Okay, so let's do that back in our main menu controller. So a course needs a course code, followed by a name, OOP. Okay, so that's the way you create courses. So we've created a bunch of students, now we're creating a bunch of courses, adding them to the array list for the courses, which lives in the course add fxml controller. Okay, so off camera, I've created a few more courses, or a couple more courses. I've spelled out the name properly, and I've added another course and another course. So now we've got 3 courses and 3 students. We could keep adding if we wanted to, but that's fine for what we're going to do. Okay, so whenever the add test data button or test data button is clicked, we'll add 3 students and 3 courses into our array list. Array lists. Okay, that's probably all we need to do. Let's now build and compile and run it. Okay, and run. And I'll click Add Test Data. We don't know what happened, so I need to display a dialog so we know what's happened. Let's display all students, and then there they all are. All the ones I've added. Display all courses. They're the ones that are there that I've added. And we want to add a course enrollment. And you can see our combo boxes are populated nicely. Okay, and then add a course enrollment. Okay, that's all working great. So by adding an add test data button or whatever, we've made it so that we can do our development quicker. We don't have to keep adding test data all the time, and so on. If we wanted to add some course enrollments, we could do that as well. For example, it's a little bit harder because we're dealing with an array list of objects. So that's where the that's where the enrollments add lives in the enrollments add method controller. That's the array list we want to add to. Back down to our main menu. Okay, .add. So that's how we add an enrollment. We need to tell Java where to find that array list, and it's in our enrollments add controller. Enrollments add controller. Okay, and now comes the tricky part. We need to create an enrollment, but we're not passing in a student. we're not passing in a name and address and stuff like that, or phone number and nice stuff. We're going to pass in one of these students in one of these courses. So let's just look at our constructor, and it takes a student object and a course object. So we need to pass in a student and a course to create an enrollment. Okay, back to the main menu. Okay, so I'll just put this on a new line so we can, I'm not going off the screen too far. So what we want to do is get a student out of our students array list, and we'll get the first student, 0. Array lists are like arrays, they start with index 0. That gives us a student, and then we want a course. So it's courses, add XML controller, and .get, courses array list .get, round brackets, and we'll say that Moose, which is student 0, is enrolled in course number, well, add them into course number, that one there, which is course 0, 1, 2. Okay, so get 2. Make sure our round brackets are right. That creates an enrollment. And that's the opening and closing brackets for the add. Yep, so that's all fine. Yep. Okay, so we're also create enrollments. And I'm just creating one at this stage. I could add more later if I needed to. Okay, that's just showing you how you can do it. Okay. So not recreating the student again, we're using a student we've already created. Get 0 gets the first student in the array list, which is Moose. Get 1 will return Frankie. Get 2 will return Bella. And when we're talking about the courses array list, get 0 would return that. Get 1 would return that one. And get 2 would return that one. Okay. Let's do a run. And we should see that we've got an, we can't see our, we've got to do displays. We've got to do display array lists. Okay, run the test data. And we've got an exception. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, so here's the error. So when you get a stack trace like this, these are pure gold, absolute pure gold for a programmer. And what you do is you look through the stack trace until you find something you recognize. So we didn't write any of the JavaFX FXML loader code. We didn't write any of this com.sum.javax. That's not our code. We just keep scrolling down until we find something we recognize. And for this error, it's right down the end. Okay, and there it is. Student admin app, FMXML document controller, which is our main menu, main controller, add test data button handler. It occurred in line 100. Okay, and line 100 is this line here. So it's got a problem with that. And when you look at it, the answer is really obvious. I said that's 0, that's 1, that's 2, and I wrote a 3 for some reason. Okay, so I mistyped. I said 2, but I typed 3 by mistake, so I'm typing in nearly the dark here. Okay, that should fix it. Compile, run. Test data, yep, no errors this time. And display students are all there, and so on. Display courses, they're all there. Okay, so that takes care of our test data. That saves us doing that every time we run the program. It saves us a little bit of time. Hope that was useful. Thanks for watching. If you found it useful, please click the thumbs up. It lets me know that someone out there cares. I hear they don't cost a lot.